Gemini Prime here again with yet another video review. This is the last in the series of the single pack Mighty Morphin Power Rangers figures. At least those released in the first wave. If there are more to come, I have no knowledge of them yet. There are yet the Zord vehicles and motorcycle and other odds and ends, gizmos, and gadgets. There's also the gift pack that contains Lord Zed and others, but I'm not sure at this point if I will review those later on or not. But that out of the way, let's get down to business. This pack is the one I've been looking forward to the most, and I honestly have to say is my favorite pack yet. Really, probably out of all these, I think it is my absolute favorite. The pack of everybody's favorite robot, Alpha 5, and severed head floating in a jar, Zordon of Eltar. Now, right off the bat, you're going to notice there's not really a whole lot to these until you realize just how much play value they have. Let's start off with the best for last. We'll start off with Alpha 5. Now, first glance, you're not going to see really a whole lot to this figure. But really, quite a bit of detail went into this. They have a lot of the different robot sections and details molded on. Even some of the dots on the back panel. I don't know if they'll show up on camera or not, but yeah, there we go. You can kind of see them. The notches all the way down, not just the ones at the top, but the ones all the way down even. They're barely there. I can barely see them with my eyes, but yeah, they've got some fine detailing on here. The arm joints and leg joints are a little different. The shoulder joints are pretty much identical to the ones seen on the Rangers. As you can see here, they have the little rivet in there. But due to the way the arm is shaped and molded, it limits its mobility. But that's okay, because we only ever see Alpha in certain poses anyway. So let's go ahead and do the articulation. As seen in the show, he can tilt one side or another, doing that whole I thing. He can actually go all the way around 360 degrees. He could be an exorcist if he wants to. This too is on a ball joint, so if you want, you can have a little flying saucer accessory. I don't know if you want to or not, but that's fun nonetheless. Put that back on there. The arms, we usually only see Alpha in this pose anyhow. But the arms go like this. The wrists pivot. There are no elbow joints, it's just a solid molded arm. But he can still do the whole side duck episode where he freaks out over the littlest thing, like, the Green Ranger breaking in and killing Zordon, or Lord Zed and his throne warping into the command center, or things like that, just giving him a really, really bad migraine. But the arms rotate 360 degrees, as do the hands at the wrist. So you can even set his hands on his hips if you want to. One thing I do love is they kept his waffle stompers. You fans of Doug from the 90s will remember that term, I'm sure. The really, really big shoes. They help a lot in balance. There's not really a lot of him to be top heavy, but it helps on posing, because it gives him more of a flat base to be able to pose with. The feet, just like Goldar, are hollowed out. There are no little holes for the stands, so no battle armor for Alpha 5, I'm afraid. The legs are on a little different type of a joint here at the hip. They are swivel only, but at an angle, going along with the contour of the V-shape of the pelvic region there. So when flipped up, they actually go out like that as a result. Now we've torn his legs in half. Also, the feet pivot. They rotate 360 degrees. Not ball joints, they're a swivel joint. Really, that's about it to his articulation, but overall, not a bad figure. Pretty well designed. Some thought went into this one, I can tell. And it's decent size. I mean, compared to the Rangers, that's roughly around the same size that the Rangers were in the show. I mean, Alpha was a little bit shorter, but he wasn't a midget or anything. I don't know, maybe he was a midget wearing a robot suit. Who knows? Point is, it's a good figure. But the best one, my favorite one out of this whole line so far, has to be Alpha 5's little friend, Zordon of Eltar. Or as I like to call him, my severed head in a jar. This is a fun toy. Now, in the instruction booklets, they tell you to pop the jar apart, which you can. I'll do so here in a moment. And they say fill it with water. I tried that, and it didn't work. Somehow the difference in pressure would not allow the jar to close properly, and it kept popping open. So if you have this figure and you want to put water in it, don't, because you're only asking for trouble, because it will eventually lose its seal and leak all over your bloody counter, like mine did. I was not too pleased there. Let's go ahead and pop the jar here open. This is supposed to be the chamber. I think it was like a time displacement thing that he was stuck in as a result of his last battle with Rita Repulsa prior to the whole dumpster incident. Now, in preparation for this review, I did do one alteration to Zordon, and that is using the joint that the head's connected to. I just separated it because it is a pain to get off. So I actually just popped the head off previously. That's why I was hesitant to open the jar, because I didn't want it to just flop around inside the jar there. One thing I did fail to mention that I think is kind of neat is those same markings we keep seeing, the serial number looking dealy, is on here, if you can see it. My finger is kind of a way to help it show up better. On the bottom of the base. It is not on the head. I did neglect to mention that it is on Alpha 5, on the robot rump there. Same number. But it's just a fun thing to be able to go to the store, into the toy aisle, and buy an innocent little severed head for your child. A little morbid, I know, but it's kind of a fun concept. Plus, you can have so much fun with it. Let me give you an example. One moment, please. Try not to get my abdomen in the shot here. And some of you ladies at home might like that, but most of you would probably start convulsing and vomiting. Moving on then. Let me show you what I mean about the fun you can have with this toy. For example, the Zordon Zord. That's right. Zordon's out to fight evil for himself. Forget the Rangers. He's got himself a boomstick and he's kicking butt and taking names. But yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do with that. I mean, you can put it on a stick and have yourself a little Vlad the Impaler thing going. You can just leave it laying on the counter. Heck, you could set up a display of Addams Family figures if you wanted to. It would make a nice Uncle Fester. But overall, I think this is probably the highlight of the whole series, is the fact that they made a Zordon in a jar. Now, one thing you will notice is it's a pain in the neck to get back on. This little nub here on the stand is contoured, kind of like the standard joints. There's this little etched side to it. It's a D shape, and if you don't get it in just right, it will not go in. But it's a pain in the neck to get back on there if you take the head off. There we go. I got it. Try to damage the head there. Place him back in his jar, and he's ready to go. Overall, I would give this probably a 7 out of 10. A good figure, and just a fun concept. This has been Moroni Prime once again, wasting your time.